Ladies and gentlemen, some sports networks, reporters, columnists deal in 2023 in speculative nonfiction. Now, TSN, in a legitimate video article this week, had a panel discussion if Shohei Otani will turn into the greatest baseball player of all time. Seriously, that was the topic. Now, Otani is not too bad. He's probably a top 10 player in Major League Baseball right now. He's a good hitter, and he can pitch on the side. Not the first player to ever do that. Back in the day, the 20s and 30s and 40s, you had multiple players. Even, Bert Campaneris could play every position. And if Bert was allowed to be a reliever, he'd probably, get a lot of saves. But the greatest player in baseball history has been a subject of debate for many years. But it comes down to, you got DiMaggio, Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, George Brett, Nolan Ryan, Ty Cobb, Christy Matheson, Cy Young, all the great pull hitters. Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire, yes, steroids involved. We've had a lot of great players, Reggie Jackson, even Vladimir Guerrero Sr., a lot of good Latino players, Roberto Clemente. To put somebody in a mindset in 2023, let's say you're a 12-year-old kid who'd never heard any of the players I'm talking about. That's a disrespect to you and your parents and grandparents. Yes, he was the MVP of the World Baseball Classic, but what has he ever won? George Brett won a World Series in '85 against a team that would not have won against the Blue Jays and the Cardinals were not for Brett. Reggie Jackson had that many trophies on his mantle. You look at the David Ortiz, the great Boston teams. To be great, you got to be great in the regular season and great in the playoffs. Now, I give an example of what I mean. Ovechkin is not the greatest Russian player of all time. 3 players came from before him prior to that, and if he wouldn't have been so injured and played with shitty teams, he would have bet maybe scored 1,000 goals each. Bure, McGillney, and Fedorov. Okay, Fedorov won 3 cups. McGillney was on scoring rampages like Timo Solani. Bure was putting in so many pucks in the net, you couldn't keep up. But people only know recent history. Same thing with Tom Brady, that craziness with the GOAT, greatest of all time. When I was growing up, a GOAT. Listen, if you put Tom Brady in a perspective of Staubach, of Terry Bradshaw, of Marino, of Unitas, of name it and all that, sure, he's top 10, but he's not the greatest of all time. He made it to the Super Bowl in a very weak NFL when it come to his opponents on the other side. The AFC was the laughingstock of the National Football League until Belichick's system finally worked in New England. He won because of a system. He's not the greatest of all time. Sure, he's got his statistics, but if I'm going to have any game, I'm going to get John Elway. I'm going to get Staubach. I'm going to get Joe Montana. Joe Montana. When I was growing up, he was the unquestioned best quarterback for like going over 3 decades. Even when he showed up in Kansas City, he was still good. But Otani is going to have a season like this. He's going to have 27 home runs, 100 RBIs, maybe 12 to 14 victories. Does that make him the greatest of all time? No. Okay. Lou Gehrig, that's another one. Lou Gehrig could have done pitching. But how does it work back then? Babe Ruth was burned out from his pitching years. He would come back every once in a while. So Otani has a chance to be the greatest Japanese player of all time. And Sadaharo and, Ichiro and all that. But anyway, you don't take my money that goes to TSN and tell me that a pile of a third, fourth-year player, unproven in the playoffs, he's never won anything in the playoffs, and Mike Trout, they say Mike Trout is the better player than Otani, but he's always injured and he's overrated. Why do we look at the players that have really done something in Major League Baseball? The Red Sox teams that won, the Giants teams that won. There's role players. Sometimes the greatest player is you got to judge somebody in 20 seasons in baseball before we determine if they're great at anything, and then we'll talk. Like Ovechkin cannot hold a candle to my famous Russians of the 1970s and 80s, for sure. So that's my spiel. Thanks for listening. Give us a like, comment, subscribe, or share. Bye.